Yes, yes, yes. What's going on, everybody? Yeah, it's Sunday. Good old Sunday. You know, I'm out here, shaking and baking on a Sunday, you know. But I just wanted to come through real quick. And if y'all know, when I first started, back on my channel again a year ago, I started out doing the videos, right from my truck at work, while I'm out here. But today I just wanted to stop through because it was, something on my brain, and I'm seeing different things, fights and things going on in the Guilford County schools, and it is disheartening when you see these things and you see the young children, just going at it like that, and almost, just, what I mean, it's not a good look. But we as adults, we have to remember a lot of things too. For one, I understand and I get it. Most people don't. That's why some parents they have a thing, and public schools do have a stigma about them, across the country. The violence and drugs and just the overall, some of the behaviors, public school systems get bad raps for those things. And I understand. I grew up, I went to school my whole time, public education, K through 12. I went public schools. And those are the things that just happen. You have a bunch of kids around, and I don't care if it's public, if you're in a public school or a private school. What we have to remember is, we don't know what these children go through at home, A lot of times, especially often since this pandemic, it's been an emphasis on food and nutrition. Getting food into households and things of that nature. Making sure children are eating when they're not in school. So there's various programs going around. Even if it's a parent and you don't receive public assistance, there's programs going on even in Guilford County, North Carolina. Where I reside as well. There's programs going on if your kid is at in a district at a school that they deem as a impoverished district, in lack of better words. They were giving parents PEBT cards. And I've showed y'all those cards, myself. I showed you a card myself some weeks ago. So, it's been an emphasis on that. But we also have to understand as well too that these children have been, and I'm not making no excuse at all, but I'm just as an adult and as parents, we have to step back a lot of times because we were thinking about the adult situations in COVID. The school system, in my point of view, the government pushed out money to states, and then the states shell out the money across their state, for the education. But the students overall, the children overall, the emphasis was on a lot of what the adults, what we're losing, what we were missing, jobs. Mainly that was the focus. People were out of jobs, people were out of work. But it was never one time. The only time the children have been really brought up throughout this whole pandemic was vaccines, getting them vaccinated. Getting all Americans vaccinated, but what I'm saying is, I'm just making a point here is, when the only time the children have really been spoken about, is really the vaccine. And then they say, we got to get the children back to school. But really, it has not really been a focus on the children. Like, hey, they're going through something too. Hey, these children, if you've been locked up in the house the whole year or whatever, as an adult, your child was locked up too. We have to remember that. The children were in quarantine as well. Remember that. And they weren't around other friends like that. Well, they weren't supposed to be. So we got to understand that these children, like as an adult, we got some adults that can't sit their ass still for 10 minutes. So let's be frank and clear on that. So so we have young teenagers, they got all this energy. And don't even talk about the little ones, the little kids. You know what I mean? But you got teenagers, they got so much energy, they gotta get out, they gotta be in the know. They gotta be doing this and that. But when it was quarantine, it had to lock in and you can only be out if you're just handling business. So again, adult business, you're handling stuff for your family. You can only go to the grocery store, pharmacy, drive-thrus. If you're getting food, you was able to go to the drive-thrus, the restaurants that were open that had drive-thrus. We have to understand, so you see where I'm going, like we have to understand what these children have been going through as well. I'm not condoning, I won't condone no violence. I never condone violence. I never force any violence or even talk in the terms. Anytime anyone has watched my videos, I've not yet once spoke violence. I'm not speaking violence. I'm just speaking. When I speak, I try to speak factual, and I try to bring, notes, and I try to let everyone be able to fact check me. I tell you where I got my information, because the information I share was part what I may read or see, and part my own thoughts. I don't deal with conspiracy theory of that nature. And those who do, I don't look past you or anything. That's just not, I like to deal with what's right there. What's black and white. Sometimes conspiracy theory sometimes theories they just may just sometimes line up with what's actually what be going on. Sometimes it's how the universe works. Sometimes it might just line up, but it's not really what, the theory is saying, if you get where I'm coming from. But what I'm saying is to get back to these children. So Western Guilford High School, hearing about all the fights, and we got to remember this is, Guilford County is a big county amongst a lot of cities and counties around the country. There are going to be fights. There are going to be issues. Yes, indeed, there are going to be issues and fights. But we have to understand a lot of tension is built up. We don't know what these children deal with at home. And that's why I come at Guilford County schools heavy and hard a lot of times. I cannot blame them for kids fighting. That's not the GCS fault. But what I fault them at is a lot of things we can fault the school system on, not just the county that I reside in, counties all around and cities around the country. We can fault them on many things, but when students are fighting, we can't fault somebody. I can't fault somebody. You can't fault me because somebody over there did something. If I instigated the issue, you can fault me. But I can't fault GCS for children fighting. What I can say is, and what I can fault them at is getting more resources, getting more SROs, getting more staff on hand talking to these children, because today these children are dealing with some serious issues, ladies and gentlemen, and we couldn't even fathom. A lot of us can go home and go to our homes, and we can have nice, quiet homes, peaceful environments. We don't know what these children deal with. We don't know what these children deal with when they go home. We don't know what they see when they go home. We don't know how they're being parented. We don't know what they're being told. You don't know how they're being treated. And they may come to school and they lash out, and that frustration gets taken out. Because you thinking and you wondering a lot of times. As children, and we all have been children, we all were teenagers at once. And you wonder when you know, a kid will come to school, you've been in school and you seen a kid, especially if you went to public school and you see a kid that just come to school every day and just doing bull crap every day, just disrupting the classrooms, just, you know, just doing things. They're crying out for attention. They're crying out for attention, but as always, if you ever paid attention, and maybe if you think back right now, it was always one person that disruptive child listened to and respected. And that one person that can keep that child in check. And you wonder why. Why? I say why because that person that was able to keep them in check was somebody who looked at them as human, somebody who would talk to them and listen to them and gave them, or they felt an unconditional love that they weren't feeling at home. So for whatever that time, whether it was a teacher or a counselor, or maybe it could have been a school's principal, they had control over that child. They was able to keep that child. It was that you had the teacher. The teacher could call that certain administrator in the school or whatever. That teacher can call. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. That teacher or whatever or whoever can call that one person that child will listen to, if outside of their parents, and that child would straighten up. So what I'm getting at here is that we have to do better within the school system and supplying resources for these children, because we don't know what they deal with on a daily basis. We can assume a whole lot of things. A lot of us can go home and we go home to good, quiet neighborhoods. You got some children that's going home and it's just drama all day long. Sometimes school is a getaway for them. Sometimes school is a way for them to get away, and it's a peaceful place for some children. But then some children, it's a big playground for them where they can get their frustration off. You know? See, you may have some kids that seeing drama, like when they're home, it's just so much chaos going on in their home or outside or around their home, that going to school is a place of refuge for them. They just love it. If they didn't have to leave, they wouldn't leave. You know what I'm saying? And I guarantee it's some teachers watching, a teacher watching, or a counselor watching it and watching this right now, and you can attest to that. And a parent, as parents, you can attest to that if you've seen that. We were all high schoolers at one time, middle schoolers. We seen this behavior. So if you think back right now and what I just said, you would probably agree with me that it was always a one administrator in the school that can keep that child in line if no one else could. That administrator could keep that child in line better than his own parent. Why? Because they may have felt love. They're being paid some attention. Someone's listening. Oftentimes, and you can watch. We can even go so far as talking about watching film. And when you're watching films, you see this. You see someone with disruptive behavior, but it's one person that they may listen to. I don't care. It don't even have to be a child. You could watch a film and it could be about a disruptive adult. But it's one person that can get them in line and keep them calm. For whatever reason, they respect that person, But So with these fights going on, I cannot blame GCS for it, but what I can hold them accountable at some point is, hey, throughout this whole situation, we haven't, and these are the things I've been talking about, getting more resources in these schools. We haven't not yet heard them once say, hey, with the children being, they've been going through this thing too, this pandemic and frustration as well. You don't know what's going on. Their parents may be on the brink of getting put out of their home or something like that, and they're frustrated. That energy that they may be getting at home will come back. Because we have to remember one thing: kids that may feel love 100%, they're not coming to school causing chaos. Now you have those kids that may be follow the leader kids, but the kids that are feeling and getting love at home, they're not coming to school causing that. They're not coming to school causing that. Most of the time is children that are feeling unloved. No attention is being paid to them. They are the ones who are cause the mayhem and the drama. We have to step back, and we have to, these school systems around the country, you have to give our teachers, the administrators, we have to give them the tools to do the jobs that they need to do. When I came up in school, we had regular counselors that helped you with your academics, to make sure you were picking the right courses if you were going to college, making sure you were on track for what you need. Then you had your we call them peer and drug counselors. You had those counselors around, so if someone was dealing with some type of addiction, you had someone there, and then you had people on hand. You had counseling on hand. So if the counselors that were in school couldn't reach you and help you, they were able to get you to the help that you needed outside of the school. I don't know, and I believe 100% a lot of that has been taken away. We can't save everybody, but we have to try. And my only thing is me being dealt in my late, mid 40s. I said late, my mid 40s. So when I'm seeing how the system is run now, and a lot of the folks that are running the school systems now, we're in the same age bracket, and I'm saying to myself, you know what it is. Some of you come from school systems. You know what was available at a time, and now you see it not there. Why isn't it a fight to bring it back? We can't keep sweeping things under the rug. We have to show these kids that there are consequences for your actions as well. You just can't be coming to school acting and running amok. Because getting out here in the real world, you're not going to come up into a building for a place of business, which like work. You're not going to come to work and just start acting. There are going to be consequences out here in the real world. Even though I shouldn't say real world, because going to school, that is the real world. It's preparing the children for the real world. So, yes, it's disheartening seeing these children fighting, and that's just not at Western Guilford High School in Guilford County. I mean, you can look all over. It's happening all over the country, and it's a lot of built-up frustration. You got to think about some of the families where, if they come from single-parent homes, the mom may be out of work or she's struggling right now at this time. If they come in from two family homes, they're struggling at this time. Maybe. I don't know, but there's a lot of things you have to really think about. Just step back for this, and I'm going to end it right here, ladies and gentlemen. When things are going good for you, how is your reaction? When you come out to the world and things are going good for you on the home front and everything and going good in your life, You're like floating on a cloud, aren't you? So imagine someone that their life isn't going so well at times, and you're a child and you don't know how to process that. You're like a kamikaze plane just barreling down the airways at anything that come in your path. You're ready to tear it up. You know, and then being a teenager and really not knowing how to process. See, these teenagers they're smart, they're wise. I always say this, they have their hand on a pulse of the world, and some of them don't even know. Like, just from the computers, just from the internet, they have their hands on the pulse of the world. But they're still children at the end of the day. They don't know how to process things that we may know how to process, that we can as adults. And then some adults don't know how to process a lot of things going on. I mean, let's just stop for a minute. And with the COVID, a lot of people were just like, they were actually pissed off. Like, they were like, oh, they never stopped and thought about, hey, the whole country, the whole world is going through something right now. So you have people saying, oh, I can't do this. This is really screwing up my life. My, me. Not even stopping and thinking like, hey, you're not the only one dealing. There's a lot of people dealing and trying to figure something out that they don't know nothing about. Everyone's trying to figuring this thing out. But you had those ones that were still sitting there like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? I understand that talk about how am I going to make this happen? Oh God, what's the next move? But you had those that were really self-centered and not even understanding like, hey, the whole world's going through something right now, buddy. You're going to just have to sit down for a minute. You know, this is a moment where everyone's got to go into timeout. You know, not just the children, the adults. So let's just think about that. When your life is in a good place, when everything's going and everything's clicking in your life, how are you when you come out to the world? How is your attitude to the next person, you know, or to your neighbor in general? How is your attitude to people you don't know when everything's clicking in your life as you may want it to be? And then think about, if your life isn't clicking and you're a child and you're not processing, understanding why things are, how would you be? Just think about that for a minute, ladies and gentlemen. But that's it. I just wanted to chime in and talk about that. No, I can't blame the school system for the children fighting. What I can blame them for is the resources, adding the resources, bringing back the things that were once readily available in public schools, bringing it back. Better nutrition, you know, better nutrition, cooking better, preparing better meals for these children in school, providing these children with security while they come to school to do work. You know, we have workplaces that provide better security than these school systems around the country. And that's fact. I'm in the transportation business. I see it every day. You have distribution facilities that provide better security and securing their assets better than they have in these public school systems. So we have to provide better security for these students. We have to provide we have to bring back counseling and mentorship. We have to speak to these kids. We have to find a time, we have to find a time to be able to speak to all the children and allow them, and while they're in school, to express themselves. Bring them to a point where they can sit down and express themselves to the adults. And listen to them. Because you don't understand how it feels if you're trying to talk to somebody and they're not listening. It's a headache. It's stressful, you know. So That's what I say, ladies and gentlemen. We just have to bring back more resources, better education, meeting these children where they stand. I've been saying this over and over again. We have to meet these children where they stand. And that's just it. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's my time. Peace and blessings to y'all. I'm out.